So this is my review for Dave the Diver and the new DLC Into the Jungle. I've been playing Dave the Diver now for about 2 weeks, and it's come at a time when we've had a massive heatwave in the UK and right across Europe actually. And so it's been really nice just to play a game that is visually about diving into water and staying cool. I know it doesn't actually keep me cool, but it's just been a kind of like a visual tonic, just being in that blue deep water. And yeah, I've been playing it on the desktop down in the basement where it's cold. And then at night when it cools down, I've been going upstairs into the lounge and playing it on my Steam Deck. Dave the Diver is a very simple game in some ways. You get invited by your friend to a beach to dive, find fish in the water, and then bring them up for a sushi restaurant. So you dive twice in the day, and then at night time, in the third stage of the day, you run the sushi restaurant. You serve customers, you pour drinks, that kind of thing. And that is the basic function of the game. That is the basic core structure. But as you will find out, once you start to play, the game starts to add different layers, different mechanics, different ways of playing the game. And after a short while, you start to realize this game has many, many layers to it. As mentioned, the diving is what you would call the meat and potatoes of the game. That is the part where you dive down into the water. Obviously, you're hunting for different fish. And the whole thing about the blue hole is that it changes every time you dive into it. Now, they don't really fully ever explain why this happens. But yeah, it kind of gives them the license to have different terrain, even though you're diving in the same place. One of the main resources is actually O2. And so it doubles up as, obviously, you're ticking through your O2 as you play. And then if you get hit or take any damage, you also lose O2, so it acts as like a secondary health gauge, if you will. In terms of equipment, you basically got a combat knife for melee attacks if anything gets a bit too close. But if you kill things with the melee knife, you'll only get 1-star kills, and that's quite an important mechanic. If you kill things with like a normal weapon or with your harpoon gun, you'll get a 2-star kill. But if you kill things or take them alive, so like sedate them or tranquilize them and then capture them, you get a 3-star. And obviously the 3-star gets you more resources, more meat. So as you play, Dave will use his phone as almost like a PDA. He's got all his contacts, he's got all his different games. You can actually play mini games on your phone, all that kind of stuff. You can also look at research points, and the game starts to introduce different characters to you, and they will be giving you tasks like finding cards for certain fish, or finding certain items, or like capturing certain creatures. And each time you do that, it feeds into these different systems. So at some point in the game, somebody approaches you, do a small quest, and they offer to give you basically the ability to grow your own rice. And at this point, the game starts to add another substantial layer and become like a Stardew Valley-esque like farming simulation. And like everything in Dave the Diver, it's never really as simple as it first looks. So you can then start to plant different crops, you can expand it, you can start to have hens and lay eggs and that kind of thing. And all of these systems all feed resources and ingredients into your cooking. There's even at one point a ability to own a fish farm. So any creatures that you catch with a 3-star rating, you've got a chance of getting eggs off them. They appear at the fish farm, and then that's a whole management game in itself.
Legal.
So one of my favourite aspects of Dave the Diver is actually the visuals. They've done a really good job of meshing this 2.5D effect. Now, as far as I can see, all the assets like Dave, the creatures in the background, and the environment, they're all three-dimensional assets. But in some ways, they've made them look two-dimensional sprites. So it has this really nice effect, like a retro effect. So the characters in Dave the Diver, the way I'll put it is they're very stylized, and that might be some people's cup of tea and other people might not quite like it. They're all full of character, they've all got different personalities and different wants, And I like the way the game kind of uses their different motivations to get Dave what he needs, like different equipment, pushing him in the right direction for a quest, that kind of thing. And yeah, the game does a really good job of just meshing it all together and bringing it all together in like a cohesive story. The main story itself is nothing of a revelation. It's just like a basic story about helping the sea people underneath the ocean. I won't tell you what exactly happens and how it concludes, but yeah, it takes you on a bit of a journey, and you end up fighting like different bosses and that kind of thing. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was just very light. I didn't want anything too deep anyway, no pun intended. And yeah, it serves a purpose and does the job. In addition to this, you also got little side quests going on, and you get these characters coming into the restaurant every couple of days, and they will be like a VIP or a rock star or something, and they'll challenge Banjo to create them something, and then you have to go and find these like ultra rare resources over the next couple of days, and then inevitably, Banjo creates this amazing dish, and it all works out. And then they will give you something, either a resource or they'll give you access to some other part of the game, And yeah, it's another aspect of the game I found quite enjoyable. As most of you will know, I'm primarily a mouse and keyboard person. I love to play mouse and keyboard, but there are times when a game is just built for a controller, and this is one of those times. So I've been playing on the Steam Deck, and then it feels very natural to come down and play on the desktop and just pick up my Xbox controller and play on that. So just a quick note on the game's DLC, because there is quite a few different pieces of it. The only one I was really impressed with was the Godzilla. It's actually quite quick, very impressive visually, and it just added quite a fun little mini game to the end of the game as well, which I quite liked. The other DLC, like the Dredge DLC, I can kind of see what they were trying to do, but ultimately it kept getting in the way of my like normal day-to-day running. On one day I had like an event that I'd been planning for, and that DLC kind of really got in the way of that. So personally, yeah, I wouldn't download the Dredge DLC, but the Godzilla, yeah, thumbs up. So wrapping it up for the base game, Dave the Diver is a really fun indie game that I just cannot recommend enough. There's loads of different layers, like I've said, and it just keeps opening up in front of you to give you more and more. I did think the end of the game overstayed its welcome a little bit. Like at one point they give you like a second branch to run, and I think at that point I was thinking to myself, you're just going a bit too far now with content. I wish you just kept it a little bit more simple, but a very minor gripe with that. I think overall the game is excellent, and like I said, if you're looking for a Steam Deck game to take with on holiday or just get out of the house, this is absolutely perfect. So, as the name might suggest, Banjo, Dave, and Cobra, they jump in a boat and they head towards the jungle. And the basic idea is you're setting up a new restaurant in the jungle. There's a new freshwater biome to explore with all kinds of different new fish. And there's obviously a story as well, but they do actually shake up the gameplay loop quite a bit, which I'll go into. So with DLC or expansions, you always want something familiar, but you also want something new. So it's this hard line to walk, really, isn't it? And I must admit, when I first started playing the DLC, I was kind of reeling from all the changes they made. So I think the first big one is that the play area is a lot bigger, and you're now basically in a village surrounded by loads of different NPCs, and it's all in 3D. So you're walking around, you can go up and down, left, right, and it feels a lot more like Stardew Valley, as in you're talking to people, you're picking up quests, you're gathering resources, and you're also doing this thing where you've got to get in with people with like gifts and chatting to them and doing different things for them and building up favor. And then eventually, once you get on their good side, they become patrons at your restaurant. So yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I would not trust this girl with my hardware. She just seems a bit erratic. But never mind. These are the kind of people you meet in Dave the Diver. Very, very full on, shall we say? Um, so this is one of the characters that upgrades your weapons and your equipment. There's not as much equipment upgraded in this DLC. It's more about the jungle weapon, the rifle. It's actually modular, so it swaps between four different modes. One's like a capture net, one is a rifle, one's a sniper, and one is a shotgun. And as you gather resources, you can go back to this character, and she will upgrade the power and the function of the weapon. And this is another change for my playstyle because in the base game, the harpoon is basically your main weapon. You can use other weapons like rifles and tranquilizer guns, and they do work. But I always found the harpoon to be one of the best weapons. So yeah, this transition to like an actual full-on weapon is like a new thing. So when I first started playing Day of the Diver, I thought the diving aspects of the game would be my favourite part, and then the restaurant part would be like in the way, like something I just wanted to get through because I didn't really want to do it. In actual fact, the restaurant aspects of the game became my favourite part. Planning your meals, getting your resources, researching new recipes, pleasing customers, pouring drinks. It all felt like a really fun thing to do at the end of your hard work. And so the changes they've made in the DLC at first I didn't like, I'll be honest. So they've taken that two-dimensional left to right aspect and they've added again like the play area, like a three-dimensional aspect to it. So when Banjo is making the meals, you pick them up and you actually move them down like left, right, up, down in like a 3D environment. And I have to say, after trying it for a while, I actually kind of like it. It's not as fun for me as the original format, but yeah, I did like the three dimensional take on it. And in some ways, it feels a lot more personal, a lot more intimate with the customers. Because at first, you don't have that many. You have like two or three people coming at first, and so you prepare like say 6 meals, and they come up to the restaurant, they check the menu, and then they come and sit down and you're serving drinks like before, but it feels a lot more involved with the customers. So yeah, I did like that aspect of it. Now, of course, being Dave the Diver, there are mini games everywhere. So there's like stag beetles you can find on trees, and you can kind of like fight them like a Pokemon style thing. There's things where you can like lure down lizards from trees and capture them, and then there's a whole thing with that. There's loads of stuff like that to find. There's even like a shooting game like Duck Hunt, where you're literally just shooting down creatures, and then you can like cook them and use them for resources, obviously, because it's Dave the Diver. But one of the really big parts of the game, which I never expected at all, was this other area. So once you move the boulder from the right side of the village, you can actually explore the forest to the right, and it becomes almost this like RPG Final Fantasy esque thing where you're like fighting creatures and you're planning attacks. You've got action points, and you're moving through the forest and gathering more resources. And this actually, at first, I was like, "What the hell? I want to get back in the water and do my diving." But after a while, like all things in Dave the Diver, it kind of like draws you in, and you start to get into it. And I ended up really liking this part of the game. So yeah, that's my review for Dave the Diver and the recent released In the Jungle DLC. I've got it right once before I actually finish a review. That's right. I keep saying Into the Jungle, but it's In the Jungle. So yeah, highly recommended. And I wasn't sure at first about the DLC. It did some big changes to the format, like I said, but after a while, I got used to it, and now I kind of like it. So that's what Dave the Diver does. It kind of throws new things at you, and it's not scared of trying new ideas. The developers have really just embraced that whole like fun side of the gaming aspects and just really gone for it, and I really like that. So yeah, hats off to them. So I hope you enjoyed my review of Dave the Diver and the DLC. And yeah, the next game I'm going to play is Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. It's basically the full scale remake of the original game. I'm a massive AC fan. I'll go into that in the review, but yeah, we actually got a chance to play early as well. A friend texted me saying they've released it early by mistake, so we got a few hours in on the 7th of July. But yeah, then they realised their mistake and they shut it down. But in a few hours, the game will be unlocked again, and I'll be bringing my review to you soon. But like I said, my first impressions are very good. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe, but also comment. I always love to chat to you guys about different games. And yeah, let me know, are you going to play Dave the Diver at some point, or is it something you've already played? And yeah, let me know what you think. Alright guys, hope you're all well, and I'll see you all soon. Take care, bye bye.